for Gyokeres. I told you also about Arsenal speaking to Nwaneri's camp. So Arsenal are working on several topics. Don't forget Victor Gyokeres. Don't forget Victor Gyokeres, because Arsenal are waiting to see what happens in this war between the agents of the player and the Sporting for Victor Gyokeres for the final price of the player. But Gyokeres is absolutely still expected to leave. And Arsenal are still working in the background, are still working in terms of contacts, are still keeping close eye to the situation with Sporting. And so Arsenal didn't forget about Victor Gyokeres. The contacts are continuing for the Swedish striker. And so don't forget about the story. Don't forget about the deal. And also, let's also follow in the next days the topic of the new contract for Ethan Nwaneri, because Arsenal are in active talks with the agents of Ethan Nwaneri. The player is really still keen on staying at Arsenal. So after Lewis Kelly, Arsenal always wanted to extend the contract of Ethan Nwaneri. There is a discussion to do on game time, because obviously Gyokeres and Nwaneri, Arsenal are working on several profiles, and so obviously on player camp they want to understand what's Arsenal plan for the boy for the upcoming seasons before putting pen to paper. So the conversation remains active and positive with Ethan Nwaneri keen on staying at Arsenal, but also seeking for some guarantees in terms of game time, in terms of plan before putting pen to paper. So let's wait for this process to happen, but Nwaneri is going to be one of the stories to follow in terms of new deal negotiations for Arsenal in the next days, because at the moment there is still some point to clarify with the players' camp and the players' family. And then, guys, for Arsenal, it's over for the Japanese defender Takehiro Tomiyasu, terminating the contract at the club after the injury. He will be back at the end of 2025, so at the end of the year after the injury, but he will not be an Arsenal player. The contract will be terminated. It's over between Arsenal and Tomiyasu, with the player ready for new chapter as a free agent in the next months. Nico Williams, the big bomb of the morning, coming from Bilbao with a special announcement from the club. Yes, Athletic have been able to extend the contract of Nico Williams till 2035. So 10-year contract at the club for Nico Williams, who is not going to Barcelona, and he signed new deal in the recent hours at Athletic Bilbao. A really special moment for Athletic, let me say, and credits to Athletic, credits to their director Mikel Gonzalez, credit to all the people at the club, because they never stopped believing in the possibility of extending the contract of Nico Williams. So even when Premier League clubs arrived a few months ago, when Bayern arrived in the recent weeks, when Barcelona in the last month had these strong contacts with the player camp, Athletic always trusted their chances to keep Nico, always told Nico, if you are not going, our contract is ready. And it's a really important contract, a contract valid until June 2035, 10 years at the club. It's a contract worth more than 10 million euros net per season for the next 10 years. This is a huge contract from Athletic for one, obviously, of their best players ever, so we understand why they decided to do that. It's absolutely worth it, I'm sure, but it's still a huge contract for Nico Williams. And also important to mention in this story how Athletic always felt that the deal with Barcelona had a chance to collapse. Why the deal with Barcelona collapsed? Let's recap what happened. Barcelona didn't start the summer transfer window with this option, but then when the agent of the player, it was a Friday, if I don't remember, but it was 3 weeks ago, when the agent of Nico Williams spoke to Barcelona and offered the possibility to go for Nico. With Nico opening the doors, with Barca and Nico reaching an agreement on a 7 million euros net contract per season for the next 6 years. So the verbal agreement on personal terms was done between Barca and Nico Williams. But Barca never paid the close. Barca never closed the deal. Why? Why this point? I've been telling you here on the channel about the issue, and I'm still told this was the issue for the Nico Williams deal. And the issue is about the registration. So basically what happened is that Nico Williams agreed on everything with Barcelona in terms of contract, in terms of salary, in terms of commission, in terms of everything. Then, when it was time to go and pay the close, Nico Williams' camp, his agent and people close to the player started asking in a very clear way, and it's obviously their right to do so, for guarantees in paper, so written guarantees, so as part of the contract, basically, for Nico Williams to be registered by the end of August. If Barcelona were not able to register Nico Williams by the end of August, they wanted a release clause to leave the club immediately at the end of the summer transfer window as a free agent. Barcelona didn't accept those conditions. This is what created some tension over the week. This is why the Nico Williams situation was not advancing. I never came here this week telling you, okay, it's getting to the final stages, Barca paying the close tomorrow, tonight, this week, because the point was the registration issue. So they were not able to reach an agreement on this, on the registration. There was fear in the camp of Nico Williams that the point was exactly the same of Dani Olmo 1 year ago. Dani Olmo, who in January had the risk of not being registered. Then Barcelona completed everything. And so Dani Olmo and Pau Victor both were registered with Barcelona. But that was the issue. And so game over between Barca and Nico Williams. Nico stays at Athletic Club, signs a new contract. shows his love for the club once again, because if Nico wanted to go for the money, trust me, he had several options. Also in England, but especially from Bayern. Bayern offered 12 million euros net per season to Nico Williams. So if Nico didn't want to go to Barcelona and wanted to go somewhere else, he had Bayern on the table. No, he decides to stay at Athletic Club, and it's a fantastic news, obviously, for Athletic fans to keep a player like Nico Williams. What happens for Barca now? Remember the options they have on the table. Don't forget Luis Diaz. They already made an approach to Liverpool more than 1 month ago. Liverpool said no to that approach, as Liverpool also said no to Bayern in the recent days for Luis Diaz. But I expect Barca to ask again, to approach again, and to try again for Luis Diaz. Because Barcelona, at the start of the summer transfer window, wanted Luis Diaz. Deco started the summer plan with Luis Diaz. Then Liverpool said no to Barca, to Bayern, to all the clubs at the moment. But I expect Barca to make one more trial for Luis Diaz this summer. Let's see what Liverpool will decide to do. Otherwise, they have more options available, including also Marcus Rashford, who is basically waiting for options, including Barcelona. Rashford would love to go to Barcelona. Rashford would love to play in Spain, would love to be a Barca player, would love to play with Barca players. So Rashford is basically waiting for this option. He has also more possibilities, but I expect Barca to try for Luis Diaz again, and then also to have Marcus Rashford as part of the shortlist already since the January transfer window. So Barcelona will now reassess their plans, but for sure, it's over for Nico Williams. And my feeling is, after what happened this summer, the relationship is going to be probably broken for Nico to Barca, because it already happened 1 year ago that the deal didn't happen, now again, and so the situation will be quite tense on that point.